Everyone, and welcome back to Swim Stories Unplugged, the podcast where we go beyond times, medals, and results and into the stories that live underneath the surface of the water. I'm your host, Hetal Sampat, and today's episode is one I've been especially excited to share. Joining me is Nancy Steadman Martin, a swimmer whose life has been shaped by the water for more than 7 decades. Nancy began swimming as a toddler, raised by parents who didn't just love the sport, but lived it. At 71 years young, Nancy continues to compete at the highest level of master swimming, holding world records, breaking barriers, and perhaps most inspiring of all, still dreaming of what's next. Her goals don't stop at what she's already accomplished. They extend far beyond. As someone who came to swimming later in life, an adult onset swimmer who only joined master's team less than 2 years ago, talking with Nancy felt deeply personal to me. When I stand on the pool deck, still learning, still growing, still finding my place in the sport, Nancy represents what is possible when swimming becomes a lifelong companion rather than a chapter that closes. She embodies longevity, resilience, and the idea that identity in swimming doesn't expire with age. In this conversation, we talk about legacy, family legacy, community legacy, and the quiet lessons swimming teaches us about letting go, moving forward, and showing up again after setbacks. We talk about open water, the mighty mermaids, recovery after a lung surgery, and why the real wins in swimming are often found in friendships, connection, and feeling at home on the pool deck. This episode isn't just about records or accomplishments. It's about what it means to still love the water after a lifetime in it, and what it means for those of us who are just beginning to understand that love. So let's dive in. Nancy, welcome to Swim Stories Unplugged.
Hi, Nancy. Welcome to Swim Stories Unplugged. How
Thank
are
you.
you?
It's nice to see you.
Nice to see you. I'm so excited we are doing this together today.
Me too.
And I was hoping we can get right into the conversation. How I usually like to start our podcast is by asking, what was your earliest memory of being in the pool? I know you started swimming as a toddler, but what was the most memorable moment for
I
you?
guess when my father was a swim coach and a swim instructor, so I think my earliest memory is he used to put on water shows at different hotels and on our Jersey shore.
Mhm.
And he always had me do what was called the kangaroo dive, where he would pick me up. Actually, he did it for many years, but when I was 4 or 5, and he would go off the diving board and do a flip holding me, and he called it the kangaroo dive. So that's probably my earliest fun memory, that I got to be with my dad. All my memories of learning to swim, I don't have much because I learned really early,
Mhm.
but I do have home movies that, from the age of 3 on, we were always swimming in the pool, and I got to hang out with my dad all the time because that was his job. So that was nice.
So let me ask you, since you've been swimming since a toddler, if swimming were suddenly taken away from you tomorrow, what part of your identity would you miss the most? Not the medals, not the records.
I actually, that's not what I'd miss the most. I'd miss all the contacts I've made through swimming. I have really close friends that I swim with in the morning. And then I've been fortunate to become part of this Mighty Mermaids group from around the country, and they've become some of my best friends. We were all competitors of each other, and then we came together to do a relay each summer or fall. And I would miss all the other contacts and people I meet. When I go to a swimming meet, I almost feel like I'm, the show Cheers, where he walked into the bar and it was his home. I
Yeah,
feel like I'm home.
right. And when you're home, what is something that was there a moment that you ever felt early on and you ever felt like walking away from swimming?
There were times, I guess, when probably around college time where I, became more social, doing other things aside from swimming.
Mm-hmm.
And, but swimming's always been a constant in my life, even if I didn't, um, try as hard or do as many days a week as swimming. It was always there. It was something I always did. So, I've always been, but I consider myself, when somebody asks me what I do, I'm a swimmer who has
Right.
to be a lawyer to support my swimming.
Oh, I love that. I like that. Uh, and what's a swim from your childhood that would never make it into your official bio, quietly shaped into who you became?
I guess some things that wouldn't make it into my bio, when I was little, I was always very competitive, and
Mm-hmm.
I would get very upset if I didn't win or if I didn't, place where I wanted to. And some of those were probably embarrassing times. And now
Right.
I've learned, like, that's really not the end all in swimming, even though everybody will say I am very competitive, but there's other things I enjoy about swimming. And I feel like I swim every day, and I feel I have to be in the water to kind of feel normal.
Mm-hmm.
So, and as soon as I dive in the water, that's where I feel the most at home.
Interesting. So if you had a moment where someone told you, like, to like, there have been so many people who, like, fear you, or when they're competing with you, people younger than you, many, many decades, sometimes three, four, five. How does that make you feel when people are competing against you at your age?
Oh, I really welcome that. I think that when we compete, we make ourselves better, like a better person, uh, better to handle stress, better to learn how to fail, and
Mm-hmm.
and also learn how to handle when you feel like you did well. And I think I learn from everybody else. I really enjoy learning other people's psyche about swimming. Some have very different attitudes about how they compete, how they swim. And I like learning from that. And I always take something from everybody I compete with to try to help me make myself better. And
Mm-hmm.
I hope I do that with others. Other people inspire me. People learning to swim, people going in a meet, that's their first meet. Um, I always enjoy seeing Ed Suzuki's mom,
Mm-hmm.
because she's still swimming and trying at that age, which I hope I am. And I have so many fond memories of swimming with my mother, who competed and held many world records. And my mom is in the International Swimming Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
So I get inspiration from everybody. How fast they are, how slow, it doesn't matter. There's something that everybody brings to the pool.
I really can resonate with that because I'm a new swimmer. I'm an adult onset swimmer. I only joined the masters team 2 years ago and learned how to swim. So every time I meet somebody, like, and they tell me that it's their first time or something like that, and I've only been, like, at a meet for like a couple of years, and when I talk to somebody and they tell me it's their first time, I can relate to what you're saying, but not definitely at your level because you've probably been swimming all your life. You started as a toddler, correct?
Yes, yes, I started, like I said, I don't remember learning how to swim other than seeing pictures of myself learning how to swim or home movies.
Right. Um, Now I'm like, we're gonna get a little deeper if that's okay.
Sure.
So, at this stage of your life, what do you say to yourself on the pool deck that you would have never said in your 20s, for example?
I guess I say that I can't believe I'm still here competing at age 71.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope that I am still competing and on the blocks at age 91 or beyond. A woman that I used to take to meets, Julia Dulce, a New Jersey swimmer. She
Mm-hmm.
did her last national championships at age 94. And her her mantra was always, the true winner is the last one standing on the block or the side of the pool. You know, she got so she didn't dive off the block, but that's the true winner, the one that can keep being healthy and active with good quality of life all the way through. And so that's probably my goal. I hope I can still compete it in my 90s.
That would be really amazing. Joy Suzuki is such an inspirational woman. She was on our podcast as well. I don't know if you've heard the podcast or not, but
I didn't hear hers, but I'm going to go back and listen. I looked at some of yours. Yes.
Yes.
You're excellent.
Yes. Thank you. Like, after your lung surgery, what scared you more? Not swimming fast again, or not knowing who you were without swimming?
I wasn't that nervous about not swimming fast again. I knew I would always get back in the pool. And that was probably my main goal when I went through lung surgery. I just hoped I could get back in the pool as quickly as possible. And I always knew that if I worked hard, I was going to get back to where I was and beyond. And it's kind of inspired me to really work even harder to get back to the level that I had been prior to lung surgery. And I wanted to go beyond that. So I didn't use it as a negative. I always knew I was going to get back swimming.
Right.
And I can't say that I was scared because I just knew I would.
Right.
I know that hard work will get you where you want to go. So that was my mindset.
I like that positive mindset. Was there a point in recovery where you felt like you were grieving an older version of yourself at all?
No.
Okay.
You know, my father always used to have this saying where he would say after every race, you're only as good as your next race. So don't gloat on anything. You know, I mean, you can be happy about what you did, but don't gloat on it and don't cry over a bad race. So it was always look to your next race. You're only as good as your next one. So I always have been one that looked forward. I didn't look back. And it's kind of a good life lesson. Learn from your mistake if you made one and just look forward. And that's what I did. You know, I've done that throughout my whole life. Just look forward.
Yeah. What a wise words from such a gentleman. I think I'm going to remember this for me because I do occasionally get like I just started competing, but yeah, I do still occasionally when I get a DQ or something, I'm like, oh my God, I got a DQ. And then in that moment, you do feel like, you know, you lost something or you did not achieve it. But like eventually, like getting back into that is such an important lesson to have. So I'm going to remember wise words.
And you know, I still have gotten DQ'd. I actually 2 years ago at Nationals in the 1,000 free false started. I did the whole 1,000 free, had the fastest time, but I was disqualified. And that took me a few minutes to get over that. But then I thought, oh, I've got another event tomorrow. Just move on. And I have, because he taught me that from such an early age, it's kind of ingrained in me. Look forward.
Look forward. I like that.
You're only as good as your next race. So.
Yeah. Now, since you're talking about, like, you know, you said your mom also was competing and your dad also was a swim coach and was swimming. Can you tell us a little bit about what you remember about them being not just as swimmers, but also just mom and dad?
They were very positive people. You know, we always had a fun household. It's funny, today I learned my father, the College Swimming Coaches Association has given out an award in my father's name ever since he passed away. And they started the award in 1992. So today, a coach from UCLA got that award. But the award is given, and the wording on it is fantastic because I didn't realize the wording on this plaque, and I'm going to get it because it was motivating to me that the award is given to a coach that brings happiness to the sport of swimming and diving. And
Wow.
because my father was always such a positive person, the actual words are, this award is conferred annually to a coach who has done the most to spread happiness in Coach Steadman's beloved sport of swimming and diving. And that means a lot. Like I swim happy. I mean, you got to do something that makes you feel good. And that's how the award's given. So it's kind of interesting that you asked that question, because my family was always a very happy one. All of us have always enjoyed the water.
Yeah.
I have two brothers and a sister, and we all are very aquatic oriented because of such a positive experience with my parents.
I am so thrilled to hear that, because having such a positive environment growing up is so important. I mean, for me, back being an educator, you also have been one, so you understand, like, how that positive environment of having a positive home is so important, and you got to experience that. So I'm happy for you.
Yes, I feel very lucky. My law partner calls, like, when you've had a good like upbringing and parents, that you won the uterus lottery.
Oh, okay.
Not all of us are so, not like, I meet people every day that they don't have the same positive experience, and it's such an important factor for kids. And then as teachers and as people, you don't realize how many people you affect in a day. There's
Right.
many that you affect that you don't even know you did. Like I've had students come up to me and say they remember this and I didn't remember that. It's kind of an interesting, teaching is such a rewarding profession, such an important one.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna ask you about a couple of your records, if that's
Okay.
okay.
Yeah, sure.
So you say, like, you've won records all throughout your life and you've been competing. Do you ever feel like Lawyer Nancy and Swimmer Nancy disagree with one another?
That's interesting. No, I always feel like I'm on the same plane with both of those things. And actually, the most fun records that I've broken are, my mother held, and she still does hold in this age group, like all the New Jersey records. And as her world records and national records have been broken. But when I swim in an event, she was a backstroker and a sprinter, and I'm not a sprinter at all. But breaking her records always makes me feel like she's there. Like I go to set like her 50 back records, and I have to struggle to do that. They're the records that mean the most to me in some way. Because it makes me feel close to my mom. And she would probably at some time saying, you're not going to break it this time, because she was competitive too.
Right.
So, but they've been fun. That's been a motivation of mine. I keep working on my backstroke so I can stay up with my mom, who passed away in 2013.
I'm sorry. Okay. So it's like making that connection with your mom and your dad. Yeah.
Yes.
That's sweet. And what has swimming taught you about conflict control or letting go that a lot never did, maybe?
Yeah, I have to say that it taught me that sometimes, you can't fight the water. You have to kind of be one with it. And even though I'm a lawyer, and yes, sometimes things get into conflict, but I've learned that just as you act on the pool deck, you have to always be professional, courteous. That makes the biggest impression on people. And arguing over something doesn't have to be done in an adversarial way. Same thing with competing, and particularly as I get older, I look at my competitors as people who are making me better as a person when I get to know them, me better as a swimmer. And I think that lesson can carry on through all your life. We meet people, and yes, some people we're not going to agree with, but we can at least learn to be courteous and professional no matter where you are.
Absolutely. That's what we all need to be in this world of unrest that's happening within the world right now.
Yes.
I will I will steer clear of any political conversations, but you understand.
I just would
Um,
like to see more kindness in general,
yes.
in life, in the world, and that would be nice. And that's what my goals for 2026 are: to be kinder myself and to
Hmm.
welcome other people's kindness.
Hmm.
Sometimes that's always hard to do too.
Right.
But yeah, more kindness is needed.
More definitely needed. Now, you were talking about the Mighty Mermaids, right? So, can you
Yes,
tell our listeners a little more about that? And I will ask you, I have a couple of questions about that as well.
yes. Actually, Christy Serralo was the one that started this, and I didn't know her. I did know Tracy Grilly, who was an administrator for U.S. Masters, and I knew of some of the names. And actually, our Mighty Mermaids were people who I had competed with, so I knew their names. But Christy Serralo, like 22 years ago, reached out because her goal was to make an open water team with people that were some of the top swimmers in open water events. And that's how she got my name.
Mm-hmm.
She contacted me and said, "Do you want to be part of this relay?" And I thought, sure. We were going to do Lake Tahoe was our first competition. And then we all came together. There's Chrissy Serralo, Tracy Grilly, Karen Einsiedler, and Ronnie Hibben.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been doing these relays now for, I think this year, we had a skip COVID year one year, and there was another year we missed in there, and I forget what that was. When we started, we all needed to be 50 to do this Lake Tahoe. We wanted to be in the 50-year-old age group. So we had to wait a year before we got all of us being 50. And then we've been together now, 22 years. We've done the
Mm-hmm.
English Channel together. We did we've done so many different lakes. We did the Catalina Channel. We did around Manhattan.
Wow.
Uh, we swam in Bermuda. We've done so many fun things, and we make it a mermaid week. We do our swim,
Mm-hmm.
get there a couple days early, and then we have some like mermaid activities. We go kayaking or fishing or do different things. It's really fun. I'm so happy, and I thank Christy all the time that she put together and asked me to be on this team. I feel very privileged, and I have a bureau and a full of mermaid outfits, because when we go somewhere, we all wear matching outfits. It's just fun. You feel like you're a kid again, and it's just really nice.
That's really amazing to hear. I feel like I want to be on the part of the team, but I have years to go.
Well, you know
I'm
what,
not
Phil?
even an open water swimmer.
We
I'm
have
very afraid.
we have been asking. We had a guest mermaid last year and the year before, because so many people want to be part of our Mighty Mermaids, but we tell others, well, form a team,
Mhm.
do a team together. So I'm hoping we can inspire others that want to get together and form an open relay. But it was really Christy and then Tracy Grilly that are kind of like the cement to our group. And
Mhm.
then David Grilly is that's Tracy's husband, and he's kind of taken the lead as being like mermaid security. He's the captain of our boat when we
Mhm.
have to rent a boat. So
Right.
we all just have so much fun together.
Oh, that sounds really amazing. I'm not an open water swimmer. I'm very afraid.
Oh, okay.
So like, I do want to give it a try. Maybe the coming summer. I don't know yet, but that's
You should.
something.
I like open water swimming better than pool swimming. I grew up on the beach, in Monmouth County, and I go in an ocean swim every weekend. I just love them. I like being in the open water. I like the training part of doing a long distance swim in the ocean. So I just love the ocean.
That is amazing. You're inspiring me. I don't know yet, but you're definitely inspiring me. I will definitely try an open water event this summer. That's all. That's where I can get to right now.
You probably should try like a lake or something first,
Hmm.
and swim in the open water there, and then move over to the ocean. But the ocean's just every day is different. It's just I feel I'm sharing a house with fish, and that's kind of fun.
Oh, that's amazing. What's been the hardest part of belonging to something so powerful for so long?
Um, God, I don't look at anything as being that hard with my swimming. Finding the time sometimes when I was going to law school, finding the time to swim was somewhat of a problem. Surely after my lung surgery, getting back into shape for being out, I think I was out a total of like about a month, I think, between I was 10 days in the hospital, but getting back into shape there. But I haven't really had anything that I thought, oh, I'm not going to be able to overcome this. I guess the one thing that becomes somewhat challenging is I could go travel all around and go swimming, but getting the financial back, I've got to work to support that.
Right.
So, and swimming, even though it's not as expensive as a lot of other sports, when you travel to meets, it adds up. And,
Sure.
but it's all well worth it.
Yes, I agree. Even though I spent some money on that, I'd agree. Uh, and looking ahead, what kind of swimming, swims or we would feel meaningful even now, even when they don't come with a lot of recognition?
Oh, I guess, yeah, I'd go almost anywhere to swim. I usually do go only to travel for competition. Like I know some people go on those swim treks and swim vacations and swim with the group. I like to focus mine on a competition, like going to the Bermuda 10K. I always feel like a 10K is my best distance. But swimming anywhere in open water is really what gives me pleasure. Like going on a vacation where I can swim a lot, in the ocean is always fun. So that's kind of my focus in going forward, and just being able to get in the water every day is, that's what I do.
That's what you do, yeah. And what would be like a perfect ordinary swim day look like for you?
I guess the perfect day would be a day in the spring or the summer or the fall where I can meet a friend or two friends and swim a couple miles in the ocean and just go along the shore and just go back and forth. Doing it early in the morning is always what we do. And I fortunately have a couple good friends that like to do that as well. I don't like to swim in a big group in the ocean because I'm swimming and then I see somebody heading out to sea and it makes me like start thinking of them, and it gets a little bit stressful where it's Michelle Davidson that I've been swimming in the ocean with. We trained for the English Channel together. We did Catalina Channel together. She's my partner in the ocean, all throughout the summer. So it's just nice because we go the same pace and I feel comfortable that, nothing's going to happen. I always feel the safest with her. So that makes it a little bit more pleasurable to swim like that. But that's my perfect swim day. Being outside, if I always think, should I move to somewhere where I can swim outside with a master's group? And that's always tempting to me, particularly when I look towards retiring. Going and being able to swim in an outdoor pool is always just really nice to me.
That sounds really wonderful. Would you rather swim in the pool or would you rather swim in the ocean?
Definitely the ocean. Definitely the ocean. Yeah, I like the salt water, and I just remember I grew up my parents had a house actually like right on the beach almost, and my father would come home from work when he was coaching, and when I was from a toddler's age on, and we'd go in the ocean. So I also enjoy swimming at night. I like that.
You like that?
Yep, I do. I like swimming in the ocean because it's something I did as a child, and it was always fun to wait. And then my brothers and I would go in the ocean, and it was fun. But yeah, I definitely like the ocean.
Ocean. Okay. And what about, do you do any kind of like strength training or mobility exercises of this sort?
I probably should do more. I do. Usually after work, I walk with a friend at least like 4 days a week. And we do she works up the street from me. So we usually do like 3 or 4 miles after work and try to pick up the pace. I do incorporate some dry land. 2 days a week, I try to do a dry land workout with a friend, but it's hard to fit everything in. And I don't really like lifting weights, but everybody tells me it's going to make you faster. However, my other thing is I've never had a shoulder issue. I've never, knock on wood, never had any kind of like elbow pain or things that derailed me from pushing myself in the pool. And I'm always afraid starting weight training at my age of 71 now. I mean, I've done some weight training in the past, way back, but I don't know if I don't want to mess up a shoulder or an elbow or, so I limit that. I do some push-ups and some planks and dry land. I did yoga for a while. But my main focus is the swimming, and then the walking's been kind of a nice addition.
That's been a nice addition. Sure. Absolutely. Like a lot of people do strength training right now. And even I recently started doing that. So I was wondering if that helps at all or.
Oh, I think it would help. I know it would help me. And maybe when I retire, I'll incorporate a little bit more in, but I would go light weights just because, like I said, I don't want to injure a shoulder. But I know it would help.
Yeah. And I know we met at the last meet. Do you have short-term or long-term goals for yourself in swimming?
Yes, I do. I'm going to the Rowdy Gaines Classic in Orlando at the end of January.
Nice.
And that's always fun. In fact, now in Masters Swimming, they allow you to transfer teams 3 times a year. And I've always been a Jersey girl for the Garden State Masters. However, I got asked to compete on some relays for St. Pete's Masters Swim. That they're in Florida. And the couple other women that are on the team with me are also not from St. Pete's, but we're all coming together to compete on relays in St. Pete's. And we have a shot at breaking a world record. That's what we're coming together for. So I'm currently a St. Pete's master swimmer. And somebody told me, well, you should do it because you can take the girl out of Jersey, but you'll never take the Jersey out of the girl.
You will never. Yeah, that's true. I've heard that's it.
But then I'll come back to being my Garden State master. But it took, I hesitated in doing that because I felt like, oh, I don't know, I'm a Jersey girl. I can't go and swim for St. Pete's. But now I'm looking forward to being on a relay team because I wouldn't have had enough people from New Jersey to make a relay team.
Right. Of course, I understand that. And how easy or difficult is that transition for between teams?
It's very simple. You just go in and you can switch it right on your, in the USMS where you get your registration. And it'll ask you if you want to transfer, you put that relay team down. I mean, that, Masters team down, and you print out your card. And then you're allowed 3 times a year to do that. So I'll switch back before my next meet probably. And I know a couple people saw it on the, how they post the entries. They're like, oh, you joined St. Pete's Masters. And then I had one person ask me, did I move? And I was like, no, I didn't move.
Yeah. When you've been here for so many years.
Yes.
Like, that's a one. Yeah. What question do people never ask you about your swimming life that you wish they would?
I guess I wish more people would, it's going to sound funny coming from me to some people, but I wish more people would focus on so much the person that you are at a meet as opposed to your swims in some way. That's what the beauty of Masters Swimming is. Yes, we all want to do our best, but meeting new people at meets, like I met you, and I sometimes make the mistake of trying to staying more by myself and trying to focus on my events. But I think it's important to try to meet other people. And I've made some close friends just from sitting next to them at a swimming meet. And that's really, really special. So that's probably the best part of Masters Swimming. And we all realize, at least I think people, maybe some in their 30s are still trying for Olympic trial cutoffs, but, I'm not going anywhere other than my age group. You know what I mean? Like we're all trying to be our best, but we're not here trying to make the Olympic trial cutoff times. I mean, that must put an added pressure on everybody. I love watching that, but, so meeting the people and, and impacting, them impacting on me and me trying to, talk to them that I can make a little bit of difference in what they do. That's really special.
Yeah, that is definitely special. I agree because I'm a master swimmer, so I've enjoyed meeting so many people, like, and I've only been in it for like 2 years. So, like, I can only imagine how many fold that would be for you from so many decades of
Yes.
being a swimmer.
And then
And
it's kind of fun to see. There's quite a few of my father's swimmers from Monmouth College that compete in master swimming. So seeing them at meets when I travel or just in some local meets, that's really, really nice. That and they'll remember they're still swimming. And my father would be so happy to see people that, he trained in college like swimming so much that they're still doing it at the age of 70 and 75 and so forth. So that's really nice.
that is nice. And what has swimming given to you that has nothing to do with your performance?
Oh, that's an easy one for me to answer because it gave me my profession of being a lawyer. I was teaching, loved
Mhm.
teaching, but I started doing cases for like attorneys who were representing somebody who got injured at a pool. And I can very well remember the first case that so attorneys would ask me to write an expert report and find out what was wrong, what did the lifeguard do wrong. I ran a
Mhm.
lifeguard company for a while too, but my first case was a 5-year-old boy who went to a pool in Newark
Mhm.
with a day camp, like a daycare center, and he went to
Right.
that pool in Newark and they weren't even supposed to go in the pool. He was running around with a little friend and he fell in the pool and he drowned. The lifeguard was on duty and he drowned under the lifeguard stand. And maybe he hit his head when he went under. He went down under. And there's another little boy with him who felt he was going to get in trouble when he saw his friend go down. They were in clothes too, which made it even harder. And he didn't. He ran off and didn't say anything. He was 5,
Yeah.
so the boy drowned, and I had to do an expert report on what the facility and the lifeguard should have done differently, and the daycare center. The lawsuit was against the daycare center that brought these kids to the pool and the pool itself. So that kind of inspired me because I thought, wow, that shouldn't have happened. And sometimes being a lawyer, you're trying to correct things that are wrong, and help people. So that was one of my inspirations in going into law. So swimming actually gave me a career in law. And now I do workers' comp. I don't do pool accidents or anything, but it's what moved me on to law school.
Wow. I love how you connect all pieces of the puzzle of different pieces of Nancy, the lawyer, the teacher, the swimmer, and, like, the community person. I really love how, like, it's like a whole, like, it's like all pieces of the puzzle coming together, you know.
It is. And they always say like, blood is thicker than water.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to say that water's pretty thick too, because it's given us a lot of people in our lives, a lot of friendship. It gave me my profession now.
Mm-hmm.
So water is pretty thick.
Yeah. I think this is like the perfect segue for us to finish our uh, conversation, because this feels like the most powerful thing that I heard from you. Like, not that it was not inspiring, but this feels like the perfect moment for it. So I want to say thank you, Nancy,
Thank
for
you.
taking the time to meet with me and have such a fun conversation.
Thank you. And I look forward to seeing you at the next meet. And thank you very much for thinking of me and having me on your podcast. It was really fun.
It
Thank
was
you.
fun. Thank you.
Nancy, thank you so much for trusting me and all of us with your story. Talking with you today was not only inspiring, but grounding. You reminded me that swimming isn't about clinging to who you were at our fastest or strongest. It is about continuing to show up continuing to belong, and continuing to dream. At 71, holding world records and still setting goals for the future, you redefine what longevity in sports look like. But more than that, you show us that swimming can be a lifelong home, a place where community matters more than medals, where kindness carries as much weight as competition, and where the true victory is simply being able to stand on the deck and step into the water again. As a newer swimmer, someone still finding her rhythm in this world, this conversation meant a great deal to me personally. It reminded me why I fell in love with swimming in the first place and why I hope to still be here decades from now, chasing joy rather than just times. To everyone listening, thank you for being a part of this space. If this episode resonated with you, please like, share, and comment, and share it with someone who loves swimming or someone who thinks it might be too late to begin. Stories like Nancy reminds us that it never is. Be sure to follow and subscribe Swim Stories Unplugged on YouTube, Spotify, and Instagram so you don't miss future conversations. I'm your host, Hetal Sampat, and until next time, keep swimming, keep dreaming, and keep showing up for your story. I'll see you at the pool.